Should we do, this meeting come to order at 6:38. Can we do roll call, please?
Absolutely. Mr. Van Barrenson?
Here.
Ms. DeVoe?
Here.
Mr. Janaury?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Here.
And Chairman Galtieri?
Yes. Hello. All right. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 231 New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the giving of notice to the Courier News, posting the agenda in the public lobby of this building 48 hours prior to this meeting, delivery of this notice to the Franklin Township Clerk at least 48 hours prior to this meeting, and mailing notice to those persons properly requesting to be mailed notification of meetings at least 48 hours prior to this meeting. All right. Do we have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. You can do this by acclamation. So, all those in favor of opening this public with public comments, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All right. Seeing no public here, is there a motion to close the meeting for public comments?
Motion. Second.
Okay. All those in favor of closing the meeting for public comments, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Next up, approval of the meetings. Has everybody had a chance to review the working session monthly meeting minutes from December 4th, 2018?
Who's the executive?
Thank you. Were there any concerns for the meeting minutes from December 2018? From the December meetings?
I have no comments.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
None.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the working session for December 4th, 2018?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Van Barrenson?
Yes.
Ms. DeVoe?
Abstain.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Janaury?
Yes.
And Chairman Galtieri?
Yes. Okay. Our attorney has handed out the executive session, so if we can take a minute to review that.
I'm gonna go get my glasses.
Okay. Any questions, corrections? Okay. Is there a motion to accept or to approve the executive session meeting minutes from November 7th, 2018.
Motion.
Is there a second? Okay. Roll call, please.
Yeah. Mr. Van Barnson?
Yes.
Ms. DeVoe?
Abstain?
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Tewari?
Yes.
And Chairman Galtieri?
Yes. Question.
Yes.
Commissioner Ford wasn't on the board yet, so her vote should be abstain, right?
Should be changed to an abstention.
Okay,
She
will
wasn't,
do.
just the draft back.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, moving right along. Professional reports.
Oh, Good evening,
Yeah,
everyone.
we're moving along tonight. Come on.
Good evening, everyone. And on behalf of the authority and my staff, I wish you all a very happy new year and best wishes for a good 2019. So we're going to go to the report that says January 2019, the executive summary professionals report. There's two reports in there. This one, and this will just deal with the ongoing projects. Just let me know when you're with me, and then we'll start. Okay. So the first, we'll talk about legal. So no major issues or concerns overall. We will have an executive session tonight to address a treatment works approval request and a personnel request. Moving on to Marcy Street. So if you recall from last month, I said that where we were with Marcy Street, we had done the analysis with CME, and we had a price range of 3 million to 5.5 million. Said that I was looking at how we were going to do that, and that I had a meeting with, I was going to schedule a meeting with the financial planner. That is scheduled for Friday. So as I said in my last meeting, we would really use this month as a continual analysis of this. So nothing has fundamentally changed. We're on schedule relative to what I said last month. And we'll pick this up again in February. I'm hoping, my hope is that during this month, I will be able to do more analysis to indicate how we will proceed with financing that, other than the money, obviously, with the money that's exceeds what's in the North Track Fund. For those commissioners that were not with us earlier, I think back in July-ish, we had a meeting and we determined that we could use the North Track funds, which is approximately 3.6 million there to fund that work. So the issue is for the options that exceed that, which really is what we need to do, what I would like to do. We're on the upper end of 5.5-ish, 5.2 to 5.5. So that's the pinch point, figuring out how to come up with anything more than 3 million. All right, so Foxwood Drive rehab has had a yellow.
What's North Track?
Rehab.
No, what's North Track? 3 million available?
Oh, the North Track. So the North Track is a fund that is collected from impact fees.
Okay.
That you can only use that money that you collect from the impact fees for projects in that area. So in July, we had a meeting, I think Howard was there also, Joe,
Okay.
the accountant, a mass of people were there, that,
Yes.
including Eric,
Yes.
to decide if it was good to use that, and we received the okay.
Okay.
Typically,
And I reported that.
it's
So,
more like the Weston Canal area, the southbound
Right.
border,
down that
Davidson
end of town.
Avenue area.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Foxwood Drive rehab. So that has gone from green to yellow. And the reason it went to yellow is really fundamentally due to the wet weather and the high amount of infiltration we're seeing there. So you know, Scott and I, he did some research for me. So this past year, 2018, is actually the wettest year in New Jersey on record since they started keeping track, since 1895. We had looks like on a statewide average of 64.09 inches. November in New Brunswick, I know it's not Franklin Township, but New Brunswick was the closest town that we could use as a baseline. November averages 3.8 inches of rain. Wilson Pump Station in November received 7.83 inches of rain. We had 14 days of rain, 2 overflows that we reported out, and the longest length of consecutive days without rain was 7. In December, New Brunswick averages 4.1 inches of rain. The Wilson Pump Station noted 5.9 inches. And we had 12 days of rain with 1 overflow, Scott will address in his report. And the longest consecutive amount of days without rain was 11. So, you know, why am I'm giving you all this information? Because it's been pretty wet since October, in addition to it just being wet overall. And what we're finding is in the Foxwood area that it's so wet that it has affected the schedule for one of the crews. The grouting crew really can't do their work because they grout and they come back 2 days later and the pressure has, you know, kind of removed, really knocked out the grout. The LCR crew that is really the service mains, their work has been delayed. So we've made some progress this past month. Where am I? Yeah, so the main, the sewer main lining is approximately 78% complete, but other than that, we've pretty much have not made a lot of progress. So December 27th, Scott had brought this to my attention earlier, and then on December 27th, we had a meeting here with National Water and with Joe and his project manager to talk about, you know, what's going on over there. So everybody's in agreement. Yep, it's wet. Potentially a factor, a variable in this is that there is a water main break in the Foxwood Woodlawn area that's having an impact. We don't know how much that's affecting it. We hear that potentially may be fixed soon. I'm working with Joe and Scott to make some inroads, and I've also asked the chairman to see if he can make some inroads into understanding when that schedule is. So what have we done in the meantime? So what we said is that, okay, there's another crew. We talk about Foxwood and Woodlawn and Appleman, that area, but if you recall, another part of that project is Parkside, and we added in Churchill. We were underrunning, so 2 months ago we added in the work approval to go ahead and main the sewer line on Churchill. So we're going to put the LCR, that work crew out in that area, and they actually started today. And fortunately, they're not seeing the same type of wetness, the high water table that we're seeing in the other areas. So they're making progress. And that work will take them minimally 2 weeks, probably closer to 3 and maybe even 4 in that area. So it will first give us time for, hopefully, if you say prayers for a little dry weather. Also gives us time to find out from the town, work with the town to understand what their steps that they're doing to fix to resolve the water main break issue. And then also we'll give our crew, Scott has some of his team out there recammering, videoing it to see how much the flow is, and then working with Joe to come up with a plan. We'll get together, you know, before, not this week, but sometime next week to touch base on where we are on that. So basically, we're moving forward. We haven't stopped the project. We're just kind of put folks to where we can make progress, and then reset. At this point, we don't believe that the substantial completion date is being affected, nor the end date. But I did want to let you know that, those were two reasons, the fundamental reason why I flipped from green to yellow. Because without really knowing the answer to, okay, is the water table and the pressure over there being tied to just a water main break? Or is it because of that area being a low area? We all know, you've heard from the reports before that when we do get rain, we have that sewer that overflows at the bottom of Foxwood on Easton. So,
I guess along that line, I just want to, you said that we're not expecting date. What's the impact of, we still have time on the
yes,
extension, right?
May 3rd,
Yes.
May 31st.
Okay.
Is
Right.
contract completion.
Yeah,
and
so
we
we've
had
got-
an extension from the EPA until sometime
So
in July.
July, right.
Okay.
So we're all good schedule-wise.
Okay.
Okay?
And if, not that I want to, but if we have to go back to the EPA and say, what are the odds of getting a second extension just because we've found additional, are we likely to get a second extension, or is it a lot tougher now?
I believe that we will be able to get that second extension because we are actively involved
Okay.
in the correction
And we're
process.
fine, we're trying to correct
And we
it.
have the
Okay.
data to show that,
Okay.
we
Not
just
that,
haven't been sitting around.
again, I think we're still gonna finish, but just
Yep.
in case.
Okay, and then finally, you also, as part of that tonight, you'll see a payment application for $156,585 and change coming in there. All right, Hamilton Street, Green, the pump station. We actually, I said here in my first bullet that we're awaiting approval regarding the Union Soil Conservation District. That approval actually came in after I printed, we had it printed, so I figured, all right, to save paper, I would just verbally let you know that we did get that approval. We did get approval to advertise from New Jersey DEP. The interim financing is approved, so we're ready to go. We expect that. I'll be working with Joe and the team to come up with a date to pick the advertised to bid date. So good there, nice and green. Somerset Street Pump Station, it's green, it's still on target. So it was really neat, I was there, what date was it? I actually didn't see, what date was that the building came in?
7th, maybe 7th.
Yeah, so it came, the prefab building came already constructed. So it was on one of those big wide trucks that you see when you're driving down the highway with all the stuff. So they got their escort, Franklin police and everything, and then they came in, and it made its way into the area. And I tell you, that's one job I would not take. Being a truck driver with trying to, with that load on and coordinate it. That guy had some skill set. That's a tight spot, and he was making the turn and backing up and moving, and I was like, nope, wouldn't get me doing that. So, the building, it was removed and then set, and then the electrician has been in there pretty much 2 weeks or so. I think he's scheduled, it should be, if not finished, it should be within a day or two.
90%.
Yeah, so that's moving along. There actually, if you went down there now, you'd see the building. It's a nice little building, and the electrician is moving along and completing the installation and the wiring. So all is good there. We're green there, and nothing else. Nothing else, right, Howard? Right. Okay. So those are all the projects. Again, things overall moving along well, with just the one turning yellow. Okay, so now I am going to go on to the Executive Director Report. So you have a sheet that says Executive Director Report, January 2019. And the first thing it says is the revenue report. So it's the January revenue versus budget. Just kind of gives you where we are the fiscal year to date with the proposed budget. What is kind of jumps out at you if you are looking at this is that our connection fees are running low. But I am assured and reminded multiple times that, this stuff doesn't generally kick in until the last few months. We have a number of places that are under construction, actually on Easton Avenue, the hotel that's down by 287, when that goes to, it's gonna break ground and a bunch of connection fees are gonna come in from there. So we'll make progress, but it is obviously a little low. And in December, we had the monthly revenues a little over 387,000. And to date, we're almost at 6 million, 5,900,000, a little over.
So I got a question. The connection fees, the proposed budget is $1,234,000.
Yes,
So is that the expectation for the year? Is that what we are saying?
yes,
Okay.
yes. I forgot the total number that is, but
Okay,
it
that's
was
fine. The fiscal year to date, for this year.
for the
Okay.
cap. Remember, this is a fiscal year which runs June 1st,
Okay,
so we're on a June 1st,
okay.
so that's the fiscal year.
That's only
So we're actually fiscal year 19 because the ending is 19, so
Okay.
even when we were in 18.
So we have about $200,000 that we expect, and we have budgeted for $1.2 million. Oh my God!
Yes.
Remember, wasn't, sorry, go,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Now, I had a good. How much was it for last year? Does anyone remember?
I actually don't. I mean, I could easily get that information if you're interested. I could have it emailed to you. I just forget. My recollection is the number jumped. There was it went from like a 200 and ish number to like 400 or 500. Yes. So there was.
Yeah, that
It was a jump.
That was what I was gonna say, is that we were sweating it in May,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden,
Uh-huh.
somebody connected a whole bunch of houses, and except for that half a house still doesn't have service.
Let me down, huh?
It's pretty backloaded though. If you see it, it's 1.2 million as opposed to $200,000 that we expect. It's 93,000 today, 6 months or 7 months.
I know,
Yeah. So
but I'm reassured. Every time I bring the topic up, my
Yeah.
staff engineer's like, nope, we did that on a good estimate.
all right.
Okay.
Call them all.
So, all right, so now the next report is the expense report, which kind of looks like this. It says the expenditures, encumbrance, and appropriations. Looking at this report, at the top right-hand corner, you'll see that given where we are in the fiscal year, we're halfway through, 50%, and the budget at the total is running 49%. So basically, statistically, where budget is right on where we are. There are a couple of high runners that I've talked about in the past. The one was the temporary when we had one of our bookkeeper was out on medical leave. I've talked about them in the past. If there's any other particular question, something jumps out at you, feel free to give me a ring. All right, then the next one is the cash position, which says the cash balance. This is as of November 30th. Again, as you can see from here, cash-wise, we're in a solid position. And as I said multiple times, I expect to tune this up as we get in with our financial planner. Okay, discussion items. All right, so we had our annual meeting, which was kind of like a business meeting. We went over the accomplishments of the authority with the staff. Also provided lunch that day for the staff. Chairman came and spoke, said some words. And who did he give a hard time to? Give a hard time to me. Probably is, right? So
No.
overall, a very nice day and afternoon. Actually, during it, one of our guys got called out because of that was the issue. Yeah, national job. We had an issue with over by Foxwood, but overall, it was very nice. We did have a sewer overflow, which I said again, Scott will talk about in his report. If you recall from the last meeting, we had a resolution adding Northwest Financial as one of our professionals, so we actually did the public disclosure and notice on that, so we've complete the regulations regarding that. And then, as a reminder to you all, we have a reorganization in February. It starts at 6 p.m., right? 6 p.m. So you all are requested to be here on time. I know when I sat in that chair, it was a little of a struggle to get there because I was working in Trenton. So for those that are working a little ways, please do your best to get here. We'll have it in the reorganization meeting. We'll do typically what's done in reorganization meetings. You'll elect a new chair, or you'll elect a chair, vice chair, your committees, and then the professionals will be reappointed based upon your recommendation. So that will go on, and then at approximately 6:30 at the regular start time, we will start with a regular business meeting. So if there are any requests, because you're going to be cutting it close possibly with any meal issues, dinner, feel free to give myself or April a call ahead of time, and we'll try to help you out there. So that way we can take a little stress out of your travels that day.
You're buying dinner, is that what you said?
I will buy dinner. If that helps to make your day a little less stressful and get you here on time.
I can see the stress right in front of me.
We will take care of that.
Signatures.
I gotta ask you a
But like
question.
I said, we do have a cot there for you, Commissioner Janaury, so, we'll lock up and you'll be safe in here tonight.
Quick question. The meeting, annual meeting day that you have, that I think I called and said I can't make it today.
You did, thank you.
But they
for
were
that.
so, very nice calls from your people. Your staff is very good. The thing that I wanted to ask you, is the public invited to this,
To what?
to that meeting?
To which meeting?
The annual meeting that?
No, that's
Okay,
that's kind of just like for the
just our staff?
Yes.
Okay. How many people showed up?
Our staff, we had all our staff, all but one who was on vacation, and she was out of state. So we had roughly 20, I want to say 28,
Yeah.
including us, plus Will, somewhere around that area.
Okay. I just wanted to get a
Yeah,
ballpark. Okay. Thank you.
And just briefly, I stopped in just to thank the employees and then let them have their meeting, let Brian run his meeting, and so I left after just thanking the staff for all their hard work for the year, and they had their own meeting and lunch and everything. So it was.
I spoke with Brian. He
Yep.
told me about that.
Yeah, so it wasn't like there was anything that was done. It was more just to acknowledge all the work, the hard work. So.
Of course, that was good.
Yep.
Good gesture.
Yeah, and in addition, I talked about some of the high-level goals right? So we talked about the accomplishments, and then about the goals for this coming year. All right, so for giving the reorganization meeting to our professionals, please resubmit your agreements. This is an ongoing, right? So whatever you submitted last year, please have that submitted to April by January 11th. And this is a requirement for all professionals, so that you're just aware of that. So there are professionals that we have that don't attend this meeting. They will also be included in that. Our bond attorney, our auditor.
Did Andy get his calendar yet?
Yes,
Okay. Was he happy?
thrilled. He calls me every
Is he the one that gets?
Yes, every year.
That doesn't include this recommendation that you're looking for. Doesn't include our auditor that we just hired. That's
So the financial planner.
Yeah.
I think we rolled, because of the fact we just brought him on, we did that for, we rolled them in the
okay.
first
So
month.
it doesn't include that.
Yeah.
Right,
They're,
yes.
they're a year.
But they'll officially be reappointed.
Because they're, we give them a year from like November to November,
Okay.
but we'll bring them and I'll still put them in the paper.
Yes,
With the
right.
announcement, they'll still be.
So that
listed.
way they'll be on the regular track,
Okay.
Correct.
ongoing. All right, so the resolutions, again, you'll see the three resolutions that Chairman and Commissioner Tuari signing down there for the operations expense, payroll, and expenses associated with the renewal and replacement. Additionally, we have a resolution you're going to be signing for an agreement with the New Jersey Utility Municipal Joint Insurance Fund, the JIF. So that has come up, so we'll be doing that. We also we were required to update some of our personnel policies and procedures. You may recall I mentioned this to you at the last meeting that somehow with me coming on board and the changeover, I got a call in December to say that our stuff was missing. They didn't hear from us. So we had to April, you shouldn't say we, April had a lot of hustling to do with Eric at the office to make sure those policies were updated per their recommendations. So that's part of really what you're seeing here, or it is what you're seeing here. And then also for what's going to be addressed in an executive session is item C on my report. Okay, other items. So Commissioner Ford has called me to take me up on my offer to give her a tour of our. So we'll probably do the same tour I did with Commissioner Surrender, where we'll go to Rodney because that's our newest and greatest, and then we'll take you to the current one that's in progress, Somerset. You'll be the first commissioner to tour the get to see actually the building. And then we'll, depending upon your time, we could do Foxwood area, what's going there, or you can come back here and get a little more tour of this facility and the staff. So thank you for calling. And as always, a pleasure, and that invite is always open to all our commissioners. All right. Talked earlier about the North Track announces that really is all completed. Nothing more at the moment is happening with that. It's just a matter of determining how much money to use from it. The development agreement will be on for February. The capital budget, I did talk about the fact that we're going to start moving forward on East Millstone, the pump station. Howard has already, him and what's your name? Him and Scott. Toured, I think, in December sometime before the holiday. Took a walking tour of that. The resolution agreement to do the PSE&G and the other payments, I guess Eric will take that in for February. Ask him that if he could double check on that. And then just as a kind of advance notice, there's the Spring ADA in Atlantic City, which is March 12th to the 13th. If you are interested, please let April know so she can make the appropriate arrangements. And as I said, there will be an executive session tonight, so it shouldn't be that long, maybe 15 minutes. It really should move along pretty quickly.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, that is my report, unless naturally if there are any questions that you have for me to answer, or something that I didn't address that you were expecting me to address tonight, please feel free to ask.
It's a huge facility at East Millstone.
I'm sorry?
The pump station at East Millstone is huge. It's really just a fence.
Very efficient.
Yeah. Okay. Operations report.
Oh, operation man, I'm
Operations.
interrupting. Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Operations.
I'm sorry, I was half
Yeah.
my ear.
My fault.
The guy that don't know my name.
That's right.
No.
John, right? Curly.
Did you say Vladimir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Under our operations for the month of December of 2018, it was a busy month for us, believe it or not. So as reported previously in previous reports, Starting back in late August, we had an issue at our Western Canal pump station. We had a VFD issue, control board issue. The lead time on it was 3 to 4 weeks. Wound up taking longer. It was on back order. Long story short, the pump was out of service. Pump 2 was out of service for some time. Once the controller was fixed, repaired, we found that we had other issues with the pump itself. The pump went out for repair, received it back early this month. When we went to go online, we found that the discharge side of the check valve, the effluent side of the pump, was block solid. And that's just from sitting over the months and debris just collecting in the elbow, just downstream of the check valve, and it caused us a problem. We tried several different attempts to free it up. I spoke with some vendors of ours that do this type of work as well. Let them know what we were doing, what we've done. We had one other option that we knew we could do. When I spoke to them about it, they said, well, that's the same thing we would do for you if we come in to do it. Turns out we wound up using our vac truck with a big long vac hose extension and our jet hose. And the guys went down there all geared up, knowing that once the blockage breaks free, there's going to be free flowing sewage into the pump station until the valve gets shut. Okay. We had a pre-brief prior to this job starting. Everyone had a specific job to do. Everyone knew that it was critical to get that valve shut once it broke free. Job went smooth. I mean, believe it or not. I mean, considering what we had to deal. I mean, Brian did show up there, but overall,
I was told I just missed it by moments of being there when it all flowed.
So considering what our guys are up against, it went rather smooth. Okay. Within about an hour of working with the jet, we wound up breaking the blockage free and clean up from there. All right. So we are back online at Western Canal with both pumps.
Just let me interrupt for there for a second. So as Scott mentioned, I did go over that morning and was there just right after. So a couple of things during it. Do want to let you know that all the staff employees were covered. They had the appropriate gear. And a number of them, the boots that they used, that because it was just a total mess, and I don't need to go into the specifics, I'm sure you can imagine, but you'll see there are a couple of vouchers there for replacement of that per their contract. But the staff was, I was there, and I spoke to Scott, and Scott said, yep, he was on it. The safety of our staff was upmost in my mind and in Scott's, and that's the way it was handled through that whole day, and ensuring that there were no issues relative to, when you're breathing in there and you're there and that stuff is all over the place. You do have to be very conscious of all that, and I just want to reassure you that Scott was on top of it and made sure that everything was, from a safety point of view, accounted for.
Yep, and Scott took me on a tour of it, I think, less than a week later, and they cleaned it up really well. I mean, you wouldn't have known what went on, what was coming through in there. So, when I said that I stopped in to say good job to the staff, this was one of the things I want to highlight is the staff. They were exposed to something more than what they deal with on a daily basis or regular, and they all stepped up and really took care of this. So it helped us because we were able to do it in staff, and they went above and beyond to do the work. So again, I want to say thank you to the staff and just a good job to Scott and his team.
Thank you.
So Scott, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
So is there anything we can do in the future by stocking some of these critical components, spares?
So that's a good question. So we are in the process of doing that.
Yeah.
We're going to get a spare pump. The other thing we talked about doing is, if this were to happen again, where we're out of service for some time, would be to allow movement inside that pipe so that it didn't become solid and dried out like that. And that would be to crack take the top of the check valve plate off, inspection plate off, and open the valve a little bit, crack it, just so you get a little bit of water out. We have some pumps to take care of that, just to keep movement going in that pipe, so it don't, you kind of live and you learn. We've never been up against anything like that. So,
Thank you.
But I will say on behalf, I know I do the ordering for it, but the guys have the best of the best equipment when it comes to this. I mean, you know, waterproof equipment, the face shields, gloves. I mean, the authority provides, because we're not dealing with clean water. So, you know, they had everything on. Okay, moving forward, East Millstone, our crew replaced the faulty engine block heater on the emergency generator. And I did do a site visit with Howard Matson from CDM Smith to go over the site about, you know, the possible upgrade or future upgrades. 10-mile run. During the month, our crew replaced the motor starter and miscellaneous components within the control panel for the channel grinder. We were back up in service the next day. Rodney Avenue, earlier in the month, NJDEP performed their final walkthrough inspection of the complete pump station. Also, this month in Rodney, we had some programming modifications done to the control panel and touchscreen. These were just items that the authority, the operational end of it, we thought would be more beneficial for our guys during wet weather events. We also upgraded the mission alarm panel so that we can get pump run times to the computer. That's more useful for myself. Under our odor control, early next week is scheduled. We have 3 more tank washouts being done by Evoqua. That is just part of their routine maintenance and service. After a while, the tanks get a little gunky and the tubing needs to be replaced, the feed tubing. That'll be done next week. We had no odor complaints for the month of December. Under our developers-related issues, during the month our staff performed various types of inspections for developers, including various tie-ins, individual tie-ins, and final C of Os. Collection system, gravity sewer flushing, which is, we know is a 2-year wide program for the town to get it all flushed and cleaned. That's from one end to the other. During the month, our crew flushed and cleaned 36,570 feet of main sewer line. We are currently, actually starting today, we are currently working on the final poles that lead us to Easton Avenue. Okay, all our sewer obviously goes through the crossings to MCUA via Easton Avenue. So we're at that point. We're at about 90% of our overall goal. Once we make it onto Easton Avenue, which we're looking towards next week, I will call the township scheduled to have a NICS alert put out. Maybe we could put it on our website if you think it's worth it, and maybe the township's website, just to let people aware that there's going to be a little bit of a delay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Our guys usually do the right thing, and with the setup, it is
Mm-hmm.
what it is. It's more for safety of our guys than somebody sitting in a car. The 19th of December, we got a call from a resident over on 6 Thomas Road, which is over in the Marcy Street area. That's where they have the old Orangeburg laterals, which we all know it's almost like a tar paper type pipe. PSE&G is doing work out there. They're installing new gas mains and new gas services. So any disruption to the earth usually becomes a problem for those types of pipes. So what happened was the resident's sewer service, his lateral, collapsed underneath the new gas main where he did the work, probably from backfill and compaction equipment and stuff like that. He has an insurance through New Jersey American Water, where he has a plumber comes out when he has a problem, and they roto-root and they snake out his lateral. They get him temporary service, and this was going on for a couple of weeks. He's had the plumber there. Well, the more you snake those types of pipes, you just destroy them. Okay, they're soft and they're old. So what happened was, when we responded we found that the gas was collapsed underneath the gas main service. Through further inspection with our equipment, we found that the whole lateral was just tore apart and collapsed out to the main. So we had to do an emergency repair because the homeowner had no service at all to bring him out. A brand new lateral from his curb line with a clean out to the main sewer line. The gentleman was ecstatic how fast we responded. He set up a whole coffee maker machine out there. It was at night. It was very cold. Set up a coffee machine for the guys. He was just very, very pleasant gentleman. So you know, the only thing left there is to restore the blacktop in the spring. As Brian had mentioned earlier, well, later this month, in December, we had another SSO, sanitary sewer overflow, on Easton Avenue, in front of 858, we call it the Baroud site. We had about, based off of our mission alarm and our rain gauge there, we had about 2 inches of rain from the 20th through the 21st, which caused the overflow. Started early that morning on the 21st, and it receded that evening. So cleanup was done, I think, around 7:30 that night. It was reported to the DEP. You know, we did check everything downstream to make sure that there wasn't some type of blockage, which is always what we do. And that wasn't the case. It was just too much groundwater coming.
Scott, at what point in time we are obligated to report to DEP?
Any overflow,
Any overflow?
any discharge.
They have a hotline or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. As we know, the Foxwood Drive rehab is still ongoing, as Brian had talked about earlier in his report. During this month, our crew was out. They installed, with all the wet weather we've been having, our crew has been diligently working to identify the I&I, make repairs where we can make repairs, and come up with other types of projects for the near future. But we found 2 stubs in a easement line that were, I guess, for future construction. They were broken up the stub, which was causing the field to drain into our system over by Van Cleef. Once identified, we knew the stubs they've been there since the early 90s. What we wound up doing was we have that quick lock system, which is a trenchless point repair that we do in-house. The following week, we installed those quick locks over those stubs that were taking on all this groundwater. So if there was ever building to be done in the future, they can make a new tap, a new connection. We're not obligated to provide them, a connection. All right, so those were good finds. Our crew also started back up and doing some injection grouting of the leaky manholes we've been identifying. It's a little challenging right now this time of year because the system we have is more portable. The temperature, everything being outside, has to be temperature controlled. What we wound up doing, I talked to Brian and see if he minded me doing this, and he didn't, is we have our dig repair truck, which is like a big red truck, big box truck. We removed some of the equipment that's easily to put on and take off, and we kind of did a trial out of the back of that truck, which turned out to work phenomenal. So the guys have been out injecting manholes and stopping leaks in the manholes now. So we'll work, when we get down into the 20s and below, it's going to be difficult. But right now, with the weather we're having, we're able to still do it. Complaints. The crew responded to several homeowner complaints. We had a faulty E1 grinder in Griggstown. The unit was replaced and the faulty one brought back to the shop for repair. We were able to assist one homeowner. They had a clean out in front of their house. The blockage was actually right at the clean out by the curb. We were able to clean it and free it up for them from that location. The other one was the repair of the service ladder I mentioned earlier on Thomas Road.
So that 245 Bunker Hill is very close to my house.
It's right near the church.
Oh yeah, okay, the other side, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So
Nearest the golf course, I guess, entrance.
Yeah, I know what that is. Okay,
Yeah.
when you said 245 in church,
Yeah.
I know. So these grinders are located on the pump path or the line path. How is it located?
So the grinders are actually located. These are properties that couldn't make grade to the sewer line.
Right.
So there's 65 houses out in the Griggstown section of town that couldn't make grade, so there's 65 of these grinders.
Oh, okay.
They're put in place nearest
I
the
see.
house.
So all the houses have the individual grinders.
65 of the 300-some homes.
I got it. Okay, all right, thanks.
There were under safety, there were no accidents or injuries for the month of December. On 12/19, I took our chairman of the board out for a tour of the site. I think we did 10 locations.
Yeah.
The balance of whatever we have to do from the previous visit. And we did go see Somerset Street, and I took Will out to where National Water Main is doing the work for Foxwood. He got to see some of that.
Yep. See the line.
Yes.
So thank you for that. I appreciate you taking the time out of the.
Under connections, we had 5 for the month. Total to date is 34, and anticipated to date is 520. So that concludes my report.
490. Listen, we all. It's serious because it's a significant
I have
amount.
trouble sleeping at night. I don't count sheep, I count connections. One connection to go.
I will remind everybody we were doing this, making the same comments last year at this time, and then it was March and April that suddenly they just jumped up. And we're still, and we might even make another half this year. So I mean, we're good.
So, can I make a couple comments?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, one thing, I'm doing this and I'm reading these vouchers and stuff. So I want a couple of questions I have and a comment. First question is, are we paying bills on time, utility bill on time now?
So, I think, you know, the recall from last month,
Yeah, I
the
do.
conversation
That's
was
why it-
regarding PSE&G.
Right.
Right? Verizon, we're, because of the bill date and when we approve, we're generally behind on both those bills. Verizon doesn't really tend to make a big deal of it. There's no red marks on our bills, no past dues, whereas PSE&G does. And if you recall from the last one, Eric took the action item to come up with a resolution to allow you to tell me that it's okay for me to pay in advance on these items. So I will take another review of it to ensure if there are any other vendors that need to go into that, but those are the only 2 that jump out at me at the moment.
I just signed a $20,000 voucher
Right.
for them.
And we have, just as a reminder, we have tried to work with them to adjust their bill dates, and they weren't interested.
Okay. And I have another question is, we just rebuilt the Western Canal pump station, right?
No,
You just-
it's not the pump station.
Right.
One of the pumps.
Pumps.
So.
At the pump station, I
Right.
should say, yeah.
So,
yeah.
and this is really a 2-phase. We're currently, the one was inoperable was not working as Scott indicated. So we're rebuilding that. In addition to that, we're in the process of getting a new unit. So that way, when the new unit goes in, we still have another unit as a backup just in case one fails. Because you really want to run that pump station with 2 pumps versus shutting down the one.
How much the new one costs?
The new one costs about
Ballpark?
30,000. Yeah.
Okay, so the rebuild.
So we're rebuilding it, I think it's roughly 10.
Yeah,
right, what we're talking
9,900. Yeah,
Right.
that's why it caught my eyes.
Right. So
Okay.
that one is being done.
There's a lot of machine work and fabrication work with that.
Right.
So they take the machine up there, or they do the machining?
Yeah,
at
no, we
the site?
delivered it to them.
Right.
Okay, you send it to them. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. A comment about safety. You just mentioned, so it came to me. We had our meeting today where I work, and that's a cutting edge technology we are working, but we still have to do a lot of this machining and other work. And one of the things we were reminded was that after holidays, people tend to kind of take it easy on safety. So something to keep in mind, that's all. I think our staff is great. It really is very safe, and the PPEs that we have, the personal protection equipment is very well. I can see the vouchers for boots and glasses and so on and so forth. So, but something to remember, that after these slacky days that we had, we might tend to take it easy, and that's not good. So, all right.
I'll keep aware. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for operations? Okay. Thank you. And again, Scott, thanks for the tour. I appreciate you taking the time out. It helps put it in perspective, and I know Commissioner Ford, you'll get part of a tour tomorrow. So, and again, and contrary to what we think, there's not smells in these locations. Well, at least
No, the odors.
yeah, the
So-
odor is down.
Right.
We spend a lot on the odor control also to make sure we don't. So don't think you're going into it. It's more interesting to see how each one's different, and I guess, yeah, each pump is designed differently to handle different areas, so, but it is good to go see them and everything. And, you don't need Scott, what is it, you don't need Scott or Brian for the East Millstone, it's just outside. Moving on to committee reports then. Negotiations and personnel, there was nothing that came up. We'll have our one, I guess, item during executive session. Municipal liaison, I don't have anything to report to you, so you don't have anything.
To report here.
Yeah. Again, it's more because council only had one meeting in the month of December, and there wasn't much action coming in that. But I will follow up on the water main.
Right, and you do have a reorg, not that you have a reorg, but
Yeah.
you will have a replacement of a council person.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the council persons, yes.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that will be at this meeting or at the following meeting. So, but we'll announce that to the replacement at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Construction. Sounds like everything's gone well for the most part. So.
Yes, overall, and like I said, I think, I can, if the construction committee is interested, once I go through the numbers with National Northwest and with Joe again, I can give you a readout on the proposed path there.
Okay. And thank you, also thank you for getting that list over to, after the last meeting, over to the municipality. That will help with our budget planning for the early part of the year. Safety, sounds like everybody's, despite the smell and odors and everything, the staff was safe though, so, good job with that. And new shoes, yeah. Alright, moving on to the consent agenda. All of the items listed below are considered to be of routine nature, thereby requiring one motion and 1 second for all items. If any member wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda, please advise me at this time which resolutions need to be handled separately, and they will be addressed and voted on separately. We have the payroll account of $136,518.32, operating expense account of $451,705.03, and the renewal and replacement account of $177,423.43. Is there a motion to approve these resolutions?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Van Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. DeVoe?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Tuari?
Yes.
And Chairman Galtieri?
Yes. Okay. Looks like we have 3 items, 2 of which we'll handle first, and the third one I guess would have to wait for after executive session. Okay. Is there a motion for the approval of the consultant's agreement with Arthur J. Gallagher Risk Management Consulting Services as required in the bylaws of the New Jersey Utility Municipal Joint Insurance Fund? Do we have a motion to approve this?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Van Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. DeVoe?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Tuari?
Yes.
And Chairman Galtieri?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve the adopting the updated personnel policies and procedures for amendments to the Anti-Discrimination Policy, American with Disabilities Act Policy, New Jersey Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, Communications Media Policy, Use of Internet Overtime Compensation Policy, Employment Procedure, Background Checks and Procedures for Candidates, Employees, and Volunteers?
I have a question on that, Chairman.
Yes.
So these revisions, have they been reviewed by the council?
Yes.
And
Yes.
they've been
Yes.
approved?
Yes.
And we're taking all their recommendations in order.
Yeah,
with the
okay,
updates.
all right, good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second? Yeah.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Van Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. DeVoe?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Tuari?
Yes.
And Chairman Galtieri?
Yes. All right, so the third resolution we will handle after executive session. Okay. Dominic, is there anything you have to do before we do a motion to go into executive session?
Yeah, we're gonna be moving under Open Public Meetings Act, specifically 10:4-12B7, under negotiations other than collective bargaining, and under the personnel option under that. Length of the executive session is estimated to be 15 minutes. there'll be formal action most likely to be taken at the conclusion of the executive session.
Okay.
Just need a motion.
Is there a motion to open executive session?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. You want roll call for this? Or you want acclamations open?
You can just do affirmation.
Okay. All those in favor of opening the executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.